from one fun but flawed 3 stars to another, I think fun but flawed 3 stars, maybe 3.5.
Maybe 3.5, yeah.
Ballerina, from the world of John Wick, from the book of John Wick. Ballerina, a John Wick story. It's the first of several planned spin-offs in the John Wick verse.
Yep.
You wanted the Donnie Yen spin-off, but you got to wait for that. That's coming eventually. Yeah. Instead, you get Len Wiseman of Underworld fame directing Anna de Armas in... Is this her second action role? Because when I think of action Anna de Armas, I think of No Time to Die.
No Time to Die.
Which I think was... That 10-minute sequence she's in that film is kind of like her audition for a film like this.
Yes.
That's kind of the only action she's done, right? Those 2 films.
That I can think of, off the top of my head, yeah. It's probably, Like, but in terms of, I mean, particularly for this one, she's gone into a lot of training for it. I know she did a lot of, like, work with, like, all the John Wick team of people. Yeah. And it shows, like, she's in a lot of the shots, doing a lot of the stuff, which is really cool. I think originally it was supposed to be Lady Gaga.
Was it?
Yeah, I think, and then it was going to be Chloe Moretz, the one...
Chloe Grace.
The one... Sorry, I forgot her bloody name. The one for Kick-Ass?
Yeah, it's Chloe Grace
Moretz. Moretz?
Moretz?
Moretz? You probably right, Moretz.
Oh, wow.
Wow. And then Anna de Armas came on.
I could see... Chloe Grace Moretz, because that's Hit Girl.
Yes.
That's the same kind of action.
100%.
Exact same breed of action.
Yeah.
But Lady Gaga, that's a very interesting choice.
Very interesting, yeah.
I think she would kill it.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I kind of hope maybe she does end up in John Wick some other way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I feel like she fits as well, because I forgot until the other day that I think her first acting role was the Sin City 2 movie, wasn't it? Lady Gaga.
Was it?
Yeah, and I was thinking, I was like, oh, that, I know it's kind of graphic, that's that graphic novel world. I feel like, she does fit that world, and she could fit the ballerina aesthetic, I feel, the John Wick aesthetic, I feel like. But
Anna de Armas, I think, is a fantastic actress.
She's fantastic in it as well.
And she's great in this,
she's really good.
The only thing I didn't think was a shame is, I think they gave us more of a reason to care about her through the plot towards the second half of the movie.
Yeah.
But I do kind of think... I think this would have been an opportunity to give us a bit of a personality that's different to John Wick himself. And I think she is very much still the stoic, badass killer that John Wick is. I kind of... Like in No Time to Die, I think they do a really good job of making her feel different to Bond. And she's got a really bubbly personality. She's quite funny. And I was kind of hoping we'd get that kind of Anna de Armas in this. Because I think it's a really nice contrast. And I think it would have worked in the John Wick world because it is kind of a bit action, a bit comedy sometimes. But instead, we did kind of get... We got an Anna de Armas that was, I think, very close to what John Wick is.
Yes.
It's Anna de Armas playing John Wick, I think.
I agree. It's very interesting because I was reading that... so this was actually a spec script for an individual movie that they turned into a John Wick movie, apparently, with a lot of changes made. I mean, she's called Eva in the movie. She was originally going to be called like Rooney or something, and this is obviously before Diamis and everyone's got involved.
So Chaz Stahelski in the Wick world got a hold of the spec script.
Get hold of the script, I think, and then put it into, as far as I'm aware, into the John Wick world. Okay.
Our video cutout, which if you're watching on YouTube, you can tell because you've been watching clips of Predator Killer of Killers and then clips of Ballerina up to this point. Very irritating and deflating.
Very annoying.
Oh.
For no reason as well. No reason.
Oh, I can't believe it. Why has this happened? This never happens.
No.
It always works. This doesn't usually happen, but it's happened today. So we've lost the footage. You've been treated to clips this week, and now you're back to the video for us to finish the Ballerina chat.
Yes.
Oh, you know what will get me going?
Go on.
Yeah, you were chatting some Ballerina facts.
Yes, go on.
Before.
Yeah.
Please regale me with more Ballerina facts to get me back into this, because I am fucking annoyed. I'm fucking annoyed.
Okay, I got some more. I actually wrote a couple down on my phone, so that I can remember.
Good. Shoot.
So,
give it to me.
So there's some interesting stuff, right? So we heard a lot going into this movie about reshoots, didn't we?
Yes, with Chad Stahelski supposedly has come on board to tune up the action.
Yeah.
I also saw reports that was overstated. So it's kind of a bit. What
Yes.
are we having here?
So we've got really a lot of interesting stuff here, which is a lot of back and forth. So there's talks of it was only digital photography.
That Chad Stahelski did.
Yeah.
It was Len Wiseman.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's other reports of, Chad Wiseman was directing the reshoots, but Chad Stahelski was kind of ghost directing them in the background.
Right, okay.
But then there's also talks that Wiseman wasn't even on set and Chad Stahelski was doing all the reshoots and that it was nearly all the whole movie nearly. And that there was a test screening of Wiseman's original cut that went down like a sack of balloons. Fucking sack of shit. Sorry, sack of shit.
You were going to say lead balloon.
Yeah, lead balloon. I fucked it all up.
Yeah,
I went, yeah.
A sack of balloons.
And I turned into a fucking sack of balloons.
It went down like a sack of balloons, which would be something that would
go. Makes no sense. Hey, look, we re-recorded it. I'm off my game right now.
I'm back in.
I'm off my
I'm
game.
back in. Sack of balloons.
I'm saying shit. Why would I say lead balloons? Doesn't make any fucking sense.
Sack of balloons.
Sack of balloons. Well, I've invented a
I'm
new
in.
one. So it went up. Right. Anyway.
It went
down. Like this podcast.
It's gone downhill.
It's gone downhill.
Oh, you better stay on, light. You better stay on.
I'm watching you.
Oh, we're watching you. The camera light is in the mirror.
Yeah.
We're watching it. We're watching it. Oh, you better not.
Dirty fucking red line. Yes. So apparently, Stahelski came on board, reshot a lot of the action, wasn't happy with Wiseman's cut of the movie. So, things that apparently happened was all the reshoots, all the filming in Prague, which
is that the back half of the movie?
Suggests to me the back half of the movie.
Interesting.
Which is interesting.
Do you want to say everything you know and then we break it down, or do you want to break down?
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, because I just want to say that for me, when we were watching it, the second
yeah.
half was a lot stronger.
Yes.
And the second half was where there was action that reminded me of Stahelski, and that, like, what's so great about his action is there's often an idea about the sequence.
Yep.
And there'll be, like, comedy injected into the sequence. There'll be, like a premise. Like, this scene is flamethrowers. This scene is all about grenades. This scene is ice, and Ballerina uses ice skates like God of War Chaos Blades. Like there's always an idea, a central thematic idea. Or so, like, like with the comedy, like when they were smashing the plates at each other.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. That kind of reminded me of Stahelski. That made me think that stuff was.
I agree.
Him.
Even to some extent, the fact that, that we have the classic John Wick scene that we've had a million times, which is they go in, they get their new gear with a person who pretends to work as something else, and actually they're going to be a gun dealer.
Let me be frank.
Yep,
that was a good gag.
Yeah,
that was a good gag.
And then you feel safe as a viewer, and then out of nowhere, people start shooting. That was a really cool surprise. That also feels like something that maybe maybe not. Could be Wiseman. We don't know.
That was the moment where I woke up in the movie, because I think the first half's quite dull and the action was quite average. The moment where the cult burst in whilst they were doing that scene that is in every John Wick.
Yeah.
And then for me, the moment I was like, oh, this action's now starting to sing, was when she grabbed a grenade, smashed it into the henchman's mouth, threw him against the wall, and then, like, used the door to shield herself, and he blew up behind the door. I was like, great. Okay. That was fantastic.
We're in. Yes,
yeah, we're in now. We're listening. We're listening. Yeah. You had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
Exactly. That is so true. I agree. That could be the case, and
it would make sense.
And that does start in Prague, right? Technically, that's
I
from
think
then
it does.
on.
I think
roughly.
it is. Yeah.
So Chad Stahelski ended up reshooting it for like 3 months, which
that's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time, and it basically ended up pushing back the Highlander movie he was making with Henry Cavill.
This is all like the story. This isn't like confirmed.
No, this is all the story so far that's being told.
Because the Highlander reboot has confirmed to be it's definitely been delayed, so that would lend credence to the idea that yes, Stahelski did do a lot of the reshoots.
Yeah, there's a lot in what I have here written down of conflicting articles. So, and I think it's quite interesting. One I'll get into right now actually, which is so the reason why it was delayed as well is because Cavill had to accept working on the role Voltron for Amazon MGM apparently. And yeah, they wanted to clear the schedule up. Lionsgate have denied this and claimed they claimed that apparently the real reason that he had to do the reshoots. So there's loads of music mixing around because they're saying there's only digital photography. They're saying that Wiseman directed it, but he ghost directed it. But now we're also hearing that Chad Stahelski directed all of it. And then there's another article that says that Lionsgate came out and was like, oh, he had some health issues, and that's why he had to drop,
Wiseman?
Yeah, and drop back. So there's lots of... But there's a lot of reports saying that Chad Stahelski wasn't happy with it. And
I mean, it feels like a patchwork movie.
It does.
The story is nothing to write home about. Again, though, even on that level, I think it gets stronger in the second half when we finally meet this cult and they all live in the town and everyone's part of it and everyone knows how to wield a gun.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is something we haven't had in John Wick before. This is interesting. Puts Eve in a good position. I like that she is paralleling Norman Reedus and his daughter, and that her dad in the start, you find out he was taking her away from the cult and she sort of returned home in a way.
Yeah.
I thought that stuff was strong.
Yeah.
I like John Wick's use in the movie where it's like, she can't involve the ballerinas and the director in this plight, even though she's working independently. So the director then has to bring in the Baba Yaga to dispatch her. That was all great.
Yeah.
And the action got a lot better.
It did.
The flamethrower stuff ripped.
It was really sweet.
It was really good.
It's really funny, isn't it? I could almost believe it's that second half because that first half plays a bit like a generic kind of action movie.
Yeah.
That we've seen before, like, oh, family member dies.
It was fine.
It was fine.
It's not John Wick though.
No, there's some cool ideas even in. I really like the idea in the first action scene. Well, no, I think second action scene.
The first scene with her.
The first scene with her first mission, I believe. That it's in this ice bar. I thought it was a really cool location to set it because it allows for a lot of smashing into things and things smashing.
But then they didn't really do much with it. And
that's
again,
where I was going to get to.
Stahelski, there would have been...
I feel like he would have really utilised that area more. I mean, we might be wrong, could be, but yeah, it does feel like there is a drastic difference towards the later
Suddenly there's core... Like, I just feel
gasoline,
like John Wick would have grabbed those skate boots and that would have been the whole scene.
Yeah.
I just feel like it just felt like it was constructed with Stahelski and his team in mind. But I mean, it's conjecture. Maybe Wiseman did do a lot of it. He's certainly a competent action director.
Yeah.
But I just think Stahelski is operating on another level, has been since The Matrix.
Yeah.
When he was just doing the stunts. So
definitely. And I think that's the big question about this movie was that not that can we see a John Wick movie without John Wick? I think it's more, can we watch a John Wick movie without Chad Stahelski?
I completely agree.
Do you know what I mean? And I think
agree.
when it started off, I was like, all right, it's constantly shot. But right now, if it was Chad Stahelski doing it, we would have had... I mean, that man knows how to make a frame.
Yeah.
And he didn't have that. It was a lot of close-ups, a lot of... at the start, it was kind of more
it felt afraid to pull back on the sets.
Yeah, it was a lot more sort of generically shot
to
like a generic action movie. Whereas Stahelski, I think he kind of elevates that sometimes with his cinematography and his direction. We're having so much fun with this camera that keeps cutting off.
It's great.
It's brilliant. It's done it again.
Oh, 5 minutes of playtime. That's what we get. Well, we think we've solved the issue. But this podcast has been a mess this week. We just had to keep stopping and starting.
What a shame.
It kills the energy, doesn't it?
It really does. It does.
Yeah.
We're just we're not ourselves.
Oh, it's a shame. But yeah, Ballerina. Yeah, not since Rogue One has a film possibly been saved in the reshoots and the edit so much. Yeah. You know, an action film anyway.
Yeah.
I do think it came together by the end.
Yes.
It's definitely the worst of the Wickverse. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think the John Wick, Stahelski, and David Leitch films are very strong.
Yes.
I'd say the weakest one is 2, and I still think that's better than this film.
Yeah.
And I think Anna de Armas does well in that action role.
Yeah.
I like that when she was training at the start, they sort of had that whole thing of like...
Do you think 2's weaker than 4? I think 4's pretty the weakest.
You think 4's the weakest? No,
not out of this. Obviously not comparing this.
No, I think
4's cool, but I think it does go on too long.
I think it does go on too long, but I still think like the stuff in it that is like some of the best of the franchise.
Yeah, that is true.
And like,
I do think 2, people forget about how that expanded a lot of the rules and the sort of story that we've been on since.
But I think
opened up the lore, I guess, of it all a bit more.
But I think 3 was the true step up from 1. Like with
three,
the knife corridor fight. And
I mean, 3's
you know.
probably my favourite. Well, 1 and 3 are my
1 and 3.
Yeah.
I agree. But 4, I just think there's some insane stuff in that. That last.
I mean, yeah, you're right.
It's
all gravy to me. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. No,
it's all fucking gravy.
It is all
gravy. Top notch.
Even 2, I'm just saying, like, I just think that's the only one where I'm like, they kind of make it up as they go along.
Yeah,
like the other 3 kind of have like a purpose.
Yeah.
But this was cool. I think it was a bit underwhelming at the start, and I think you could do more to flesh out a character. It's a bit of a generic revenge plot with, my dad got killed, but then it becomes something a bit more interesting when you get introduced to the cult.
I agree.
And I do like that, we get John Wick in the snow. I think the way they use John Wick is well done. And I'd love to see more Ana de Armas as his character. I think she's strong, if a little underwritten. Yes,
and I think that we're building a lot of other characters within the John Wick world that we could see sort of come together or that are fleshing out the world where it's like, maybe there will be a time without John Wick, you know? And I think that's that's cool. But yeah, I do think we have answered. I do think the question, can the sort of John Wick franchise exist without Chaz Skelski, is still a big question mark.
Yes, and it does feel like he definitely had a hand in some of this.
It does, yeah.
And I think you're right. I think the world can definitely survive without John Wick.
Yeah.
It's interesting enough, it's expansive enough, it just needs some good writing.
Yeah.
The Donnie Yen movie could be Milk.
Yep.
I could do more of...
Full Fat Milk.
Full Fat Milk, Milk. I could do more of Ana de Armas, Ballerina. More of the guy with the dog in 4, with like the sweet zip-up thing. Like, and there's tons more characters like it. Give me John Leguizamo, the spin-off. Yeah, give it to me.
Halle Berry.
Halle Berry, exactly. Whereas, I think you're right. Stahelski directs the shit out of them to a degree that I think this has shown that maybe that's going to be tough to replicate. That could be an issue going forward.
I agree.
But yeah, I think it's 3.5 stars.
Yeah. It's a fun straight up action movie, but it doesn't reach the heights of any of the John Wick movies.
No. But I do think one thing I do think to its credit is when John Wick did step off that train for the 3rd act, I think if he hadn't have been in that 3rd act, I still would have enjoyed it.
Yes, I agree.
Didn't need him.
I agree.
But it was made better by him being in it.
I agree. And it had a nice way of putting me in. It didn't feel too forced either.
Yeah.
It felt nice.
Yeah.
And it kind of ties in a lot of like 3. It's between 3 and 4, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
It's like,
Flamethrower versus water hose.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Bit of like an Iceman versus Pyro type
yeah.
Dragon Ball thing. Very cool.
Practical though, it looked
very cool.
Very cool.
Very cool. Yeah. I also liked that as a woman who's also like 5'4", quite light, I like that they baked into the plot that there are going to be men that you're facing like grappling or striking that are going to be way bigger than you.
Yeah.
Like the weight classes are very different.
Yeah.
So you are going to have to fight a bit dirtier or use their weight against them. I like that they kind of baked that in a little bit more.
I like that as well. It fit within the John Wick world as well of like, you're going to be the small person, but it doesn't mean you can't kick him in the nuts. And
and like can't use weapons.
Exactly.
And, that kind of stuff. Yeah, because I do think it's stretched breaking point this year in particular when the new Black Widow in Brave New World, she's like 5 foot nothing.
Yeah.
Just grabbing dudes and just woof,
throwing them.
Like, and I was like, I don't mind if they got superpowers. That's different.
I agree.
But if they're just a normal person, I'm like,
come on,
I need a bit more here.
Yeah,
I need a bit more. She was
I agree.
Tiny.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I appreciated that. I also really like the scene with the woman from the Wolverine, the psychic from the Wolverine. And she was like, "Whoa, what the fuck is this? Like, my death's gonna be a test."
Yeah.
I thought that was really just the way she was handling it as well. Of like, after everything I've done off screen, supposedly for you guys, my death's gonna be a test.
Yeah.
Like she's
that was
fucked
cool.
off. Yeah,
that was cool.
That should have been the opening.
I agree. 100%. I think that should have been the opening. And
Sets up everything you need to know as well.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need this extended flashback.
I agree.
2 things I want to touch on before we leave.
Go on.
And this has gone past 6 minutes and the camera's still rolling, so I think we actually fixed it.
fixed it.
But, oh my god, I wish we'd worked that out sooner.
That was annoying.
We didn't even change these settings. I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened.
Anyway, I wanted to hear about some of the things that you said were ideas that they cut out.
Oh, yeah. So actually, I wrote some notes on my phone. I'm not just texting. I'm gonna look now. So yeah. So obviously, I think
these are hot off the press, but I don't know what these are.
Yeah. This is what some of the stuff I read on the way here.
Yeah.
So apparently it was originally a spec script, as I said earlier, from Shay Hatton's original 2017 script. And originally the character was called Rooney, not Eve, like in the film. Which apparently there would be a shower scene in the movie, which would have turned into an all-out nude fight when she gets attacked while showering. Rooney's being hunted through the forest by dozens of assassins before she starts hunting and killing them. Huge shootout between Rooney and assassins in some bowling alley while Your Love by The Outfield is playing in the background. Rooney driving a fully armoured 1978 Plymouth Fury while using the weapons arsenal from it to blow up the buildings and entire streets of the town full of assassins. Rooney's going into a retirement home for old assassins and having a massive fight and shootout with all them, while Barbara Ann by the Beach Boys is playing on the soundtrack before she blows up the whole place, everyone in it, with rockets. Rooney blowing up some cliffs as a convoy of assassins is going through and then get buried by the falling rocks. That was apparently how it was going to go.
That sounds cool.
Does sound cool.
Sounds like some of it was too expensive.
Yes.
And I get why some of it was cut.
Yes.
The nude shower scene.
Yeah.
I need to talk about this.
Very important.
So Anna de Armas was going to be nude. Right. So, is it kind of like Revenge, where like the assassins were going to be in the shower and everyone's naked?
Yes, I believe so.
Because I think that's pretty inventive way of doing it.
Bit of like an Eastern Promises type scene.
Yeah. Do you think everyone would have been full frontal in that? Because that would push this to like an 18, surely.
Yeah, that's true.
Or would it have been like tasteful angles?
Well, I feel like that's why that stuff got lost when it turned into the John Wick world, because it's like that doesn't really fit. That's not really a John Wick thing for us to see,
like nudity.
But
I do think I do like the idea of like an assassin getting caught in the shower.
Yeah. I always like
that's cool.
Yeah, I always like that, because it's like, why do we have so many shower horror scenes? People get killed. It's like the most vulnerable place you can be is in the shower, right? Like, and I think that would be interesting as an action scene. That'd
have been cool.
But yeah, it's interesting that they.
It's mad that it was a spec script.
It's weird that that this was mentioned in these articles as well.
Because weirdly as well, like, I think Nobody was Lionsgate as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And people thought that was going to be set in the John Wick universe. That could have easily been specced into being part of this world.
Well, yeah.
Couldn't it? But it didn't end up being. But
it's weird what they choose. And
Yeah. Because that would have made sense to me as well.
I agree. It almost weirdly feels like it is still weirdly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, one other thing I want to say.
Go on.
I don't know if you have any other points you want to add as we round off this haphazard pod. Is I like that there was action comedy, like the staples of John Wick. I do think when you got the spin-offs, maybe it's an opportunity to go off in a different direction. I do think when we found out there was a cult in John Wick that live in one particular creepy, snowy town where everyone there is part of the cult, everyone there is trying to use a gun, I do think this was an opportunity to lean a little bit more into action horror.
I agree.
Which John Wick has not done before, so I think that would have been really cool. And also, I think when you've got a different protagonist that's not John Wick, we're always told John Wick is the bee's knees.
He's the boogeyman.
There's even a joke in this where two of the gods are like, this is suicide, it's John Wick, and then they get killed, which is hilarious. Yeah. But I think as soon as you have the protagonist in this world not be John Wick, it opens you up to a bit more action horror, because it's like, you can make them a bit more in danger.
And we don't know, like you said, if they're going to make it to the end. We don't know.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I think that was the biggest missed opportunity with this film, Ballerina, is I feel like that cult could have been a bit more like Kill List, where it's like, oh, this shit's creepy. This is really creeping me out.
It's hard though, isn't it? Because you have like these two things that I think are happening, where it's like, on the one hand, they want to do a spin-off, big risk in the John Wick world, could kill it or kill the possibility of a fifth movie being made. Do we take the risk? But then if you go too bog standard of a route, then you risk kind of killing the franchise anyway. Yeah. So I think they kind of hit this safe zone, and it does feel like Chad maybe came in and did.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Because I think he's thinking what we were thinking, in that, like, if this didn't work, it does kind of kill his franchise a bit. His spin-off.
Yeah.
It also makes people not as excited for a fifth movie. It's, you know what I mean?
But also a safe movie does that. And I think as well, like, action horror maybe is a bit more out there, but also horror is incredibly accessible.
Yep.
And
I
I think
got more respect from people. More.
Yeah,
more
I'm not talking about it going full horror. I just think like.
Yeah, I agree. Like
Again, we've spoken about No Time to Die. I think it's really great the opening of No Time to Die goes a bit horror.
Yeah.
Introducing the villain. Like, just a little bit more of that. Like, this cult, I think I should have been a little bit creeped out.
Yeah.
Like, but I wasn't really. They're not creepy.
No, I get you.
It feels like a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But yeah, I thought it was fun. It's 3 stars, 3.5 stars for me.
Yeah.
Weakest of the Wicks, not necessarily a bad thing. Saved by the second half.
Oh, sorry, it just made me think it'd go a bit hot fuzz, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But even at first, I find
creepy. Yeah, definitely.
But obviously, it's Wicker Man, and I just think if we're gonna hang it on that kind of idea, could we not have gone just a little bit more?
Yeah.
Down that route.
I agree.
You know,
it's
like I kind of wanted all the townsfolk to be like, do you know what I mean? Like staring at her as she's coming in it'd be a bit more unsettling.
Yeah.
Before they all pull the guns out and start shooting. But yeah, will this get a sequel? We don't know. I know it's open to a disappointing 50 million.
Oh really?
It's 90 million budget. And there's going to be quite stiff competition in the weeks to come, isn't there? Because obviously we've got How to Train Your Dragon remake. Well, that is a different audience.
Yes.
I think it could have legs, but we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. But yeah, this has been the Full Fat Podcast.
This has.
Thank you for staying with us across these 2 chunks. Even though some of it's been clips and some of it's been a bit stop-starty this week. See, we're 30 minutes in and it's still rolling. So we fixed it.
Yeah.
We fixed it. We fixed the problem with podcast.
It's going to be very fun to edit.
Oh, so annoying.
Yeah. So
annoying.
we did it. We made it.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah.
Huge thank you to Dr. Chike and Peter Vaughan for being my Full Fat patrons. Your contribution to keeping the channel running is immeasurable. If you'd like to join the Patreon for exclusive goodies, early releases of main videos, the podcast, video scripts, and a thank you in the credits, then please head on over to patreon.com/fullfatvideos to choose one of the paid tiers.